Hello race fans, Keith Collentine here. What is Formula One doing to help teams weather the storm caused by the global pandemic? To find out, we spoke to Haas team principal Guenther Steiner. He became an unlikely star of Netflix's Formula One series Drive to Survive thanks to his straight talking style, not to mention his occasional outbursts of weapons grade profanity. However, he kept it all clean while talking to Dieter Rencken.
So how are the meetings going then, Gunther? You know, we hear all sorts of things that have been drip fed through according to the agendas of the individuals. How have the meetings been going? I mean, have they been constructive? Are they working? Can you see unity?
I liked your through the agenda of whoever says something, so you get, if you get information is biased, obviously, so that's a good thing that you realize that. So it's not always no. Back to your question. Yeah,
is this information biased?
No, this is not biased. This is because you didn't ask me any specific information, so it doesn't need to be biased. Otherwise it would be. So no, I think the meetings are, as you say, there is a lot more understanding of each other. It's not unanimous yet that we are all agreeing on the same thing, that we all want to do the same thing. There is different things. We always have to consider also our business models are quite different. So if they would be unanimous, something would be wrong. Everybody, we just need to be unanimous to find a compromise. That's what I mean. It's like we have to respect each other, and it's getting better. We are not there yet, but we are getting, I think, pretty close. And hopefully in the next weeks we can make the step to be done with our discussions in the moment.
All right. So now, being totally biased, what would you like to see come out of this?
I would see that all the teams, if you want a simple thing, that everybody can be competitive. Leave alone the money, but the money needs to be very similar in order for us to be all competitive. So it should be a budget cap everybody can live within. The big teams can live within, and the small teams can live within. But the biggest thing for me needs to come out. We need to be competitive, and for me, competitive doesn't mean that all of a sudden Haas wants to win races. Yes, we want to win races, obviously, but we are conscious where we are. But we want to be in a position, in a realistic position, that in a few years we can go on, or maybe short than that, on the podium. And then if we do a good job, we get more FM money, and we can get a higher budget in, and then can win races. But it needs to be the honest possibility to achieve that. That is, for me, that is what I would like to see coming out of this.
What Gene said to me during testing was that when he came in, he thought that he'd come into a sport where he'd have a chance of winning. Not that he would necessarily win, but would have a chance of winning. Whereas he said that now it appears as though he's got no chance the way it's currently structured. Could the sport ever become a sport again where everybody has a chance of winning, or most people have, if they do the right things?
Most. I mean, I wouldn't say everybody, because it's not possible. I mean, everybody at a certain time, over a certain time period, I would say, just to clarify that one, should be possible to win, and if you do a good job. And I think we're getting closer to that. In the moment, as we said, I mean, everybody knows who can beat the top three. Not even big teams like Berg's teams like McLaren and Renault can beat them. So what chance have we even smaller ones got? So, but with the budget cap, I think we have got at least a chance to bring the field closer together. And then if you do a good job, you will be rewarded. And the reward then maybe pushes you up the next step, and then you can actually win. But in the moment, it's just not there. I mean, or you inject billions. I'm not talking millions, billions.
And what sort of level do you think the cap should be? What do you think is equitable for all teams?
I don't want to throw a number out there, Dieter, to be honest, because we are not far off. We are maybe 10 million off between agreeing, all of us, and somehow the truth will be in between. But I think the numbers which you hear about from your biased informers are about right. So I'm not unhappy with that. We just need to make sure that you don't have too many exceptions, and then all of a sudden they're artificially higher again. You need to be careful of that as well.
Well, I'm hearing numbers as low as 100, and I'm hearing numbers as high as 150, which is a lot more than 10 million apart.
And the truth is somewhere in the middle, because I think 100 is very difficult for the big teams, and we need to be respectful as well of what they are doing. And but on the other side, I think in the moment the FIA and the president of the FIA, they have got a good understanding where where the budget cap needs to be to suit everybody. You know, and with good understanding their decision will be based on facts and not on politicking and on biased opinions. So I think we are getting there. We are not there yet, you know, so I don't want to sing glory too early.
One of the alternatives that's been suggested by a few teams actually is customer cars, customer teams. When Haas came in originally, one of the thoughts had been for you to run a third Ferrari or something under American colors. Yet you seem to be totally against this now. Where do you see customer cars fitting into the picture?
I think if we go back then when I tried to achieve that one, and it was impossible. I mean, the people which now say we should be doing it, at the time they were completely against it, you know. So I do not understand that one really. I think the only thing what I understand is if you get a customer car, that's another way to control smaller teams. So, and that is, I think, that is the issue there. And in the moment, I don't think F1 needs a customer car, something drastic like a customer car, because I think the thing should be, we should be make it more competitive, not less competitive. Because what you do with customer cars, for somebody coming in new, I understand it, you know, because you just want to get your how you fit in, how you get going. But now we've got 10 teams which are all somehow they are possible to survive, and they are all 10 good teams, I would say. You know, again, some people would have other opinions, but I think they are all pretty good teams. They're all managed pretty well. There is not anybody rogue there anymore, so it's like they're pretty good. And we should try to give the smaller teams a bigger chance to compete instead of giving them customer cars to being uncompetitive. Even if it is cheap, it will still cost a lot of money, and people which invest in these F1 teams, either they run out of money, like it happened before, or they run out of passion because they cannot compete. So I think customer cars in the moment is not a good idea. It's no need. Maybe there comes a day when it's needed, when we go back and say, we or somebody else says, we cannot be on the grid anymore, and we are pretty happy to be on the grid, just to be on the grid with a very small budget. Can I buy a car? Then we reassess it. But in the moment, none of the people, we are not screaming for it. And, you know, being used from the big teams just to fill the field, that I think the teams which are there now don't want to do.
What would it take for Gene to keep the passion, to stay in Formula One, in other words?
Being able to be competitive. I mean, we said it before. That is what he spoke with you, that's what I told you. And that is the thing we want to be competitive, you know. And I'm not saying here dreaming we need to win races next year. No, just being competitive, having a shot at it, you know, getting into a race. And a lot depends also on us, because that will be the next question, you know. Yes, it depends on us, but we can do it if the other ones come closer to us money-wise.
One of the other changes, of course, is the new regulations, now pushed out a year until 2022. However, it will mean substantially ramping up your operation. Can you see Gene doing that?
I don't think why we need to ramp up the organization. We are running next year with the same car in 21 as 20, and then for 22 we are under budget cap, and we can do it. We were prepared to do it before. Our budget will not change, so I don't think we need to ramp it up. I think if I can keep everything stable, I'm already happy.
But don't the new regulations with the various parts categories mean that there will be additional parts you'll have to manufacture yourselves?
It's relatively small, you know. Relatively
I'm hearing
small.
20%-ish.
Yeah, exactly, which is relatively small, but also the aero regulation changed, and you can do less aero runs, you know. So we should be able to make some savings there to invest on the other side. So I feel pretty good about that one. I don't see a big issue there. Sure, having more money always helps, you know, but that is not an excuse.
I'm also hearing that some of the alternatives to sort of budget cap reductions are possibly to allow some form of performance ballast on wind tunnel testing, if I can call it that, where the more successful you are, the less wind tunnel time or CFD time you have. How do you feel about that one? Are you in favor of that?
Yeah, I mean, that could be a help that if you finish bad, that you can move up the grid. I mean, it's all part of the discussions in the moment. So it's not as drastic as it sounds. It gives the smaller, or not the smaller, the worse, the less successful teams a chance to make some gains towards the big ones, and the big ones maybe coming down. It's just like I think it's fair. And what that does, it doesn't stop technology. You know, it keeps on still F1 being the top technology motorsport.
And the sort of differentiated budget cap, the sort of two-tier budget cap they were talking about at one stage, where do you see that one fitting in?
I think that is gone anyway, so I think
Okay.
there's no point to discuss it.
But this, can I call it performance ballast for the wind tunnel? Would that not sort of lead to some form of artificial racing, the way we have in touring cars, for example?
No, because as I said before, I don't think that will. It's not a performance, and I think that's quite disrespectful to call it a balance of performance. It's more like you give people a chance to develop more, and they still need to develop. If they are useless, even with more wind tunnel time, you are not going to go any faster. So it's just helping you be more competitive and to make the field closer without giving a balance of performance like weight or restrictors and things like this. You know, I think it's a good way with keeping the DNA of F1 intact to give the smaller teams, which you maybe made something wrong one year and you need a little bit more time to catch up. It gives you that chance. But again, it's not this great if you're useless or if you're not a good team. It doesn't help you a lot.
A lot of people talk about this DNA of Formula One, which you've just mentioned. What to you is the DNA of Formula One? Because the DNA of Formula One, for example, included customer cars, it included third cars, it included all sorts of things. So what to you is actually the DNA of Formula One?
I don't really, the DNA, I want to discuss DNA of Formula One because I think we went there once before with DNA. Does DNA change over time? Because I think it does, you know, so I think we are both now not DNA scientists, so I think we don't have to get into that one, but I think the DNA of F1 in the moment is to be the highest technology motorsport in the world, and we are. I mean, honestly, there is not only motorsport in technology, the technology we are applying to these cars is quite amazing. The amazing thing to me is how little we tell people about it. Like I think these engines, even if it's combustion engine or partially combustion engine, technology is amazing. It's something beautiful, but we don't let anybody take part of it, or not take part, just limited part of it. So that is where we need to get better. But I think the DNA is just the technology. It needs to stay on top. It shouldn't be customer cars. You know, not customer cars, single-made cars. Customer cars, as I said, at certain times it could be beneficial. I'm not saying no forever. I mean, I'm ready to change my opinion on things, how things go. But in the moment, I think we don't need them. But at some stage, we needed them, you know, and they were there. Or Formula One needed them, and it was fine with everybody.
Been suggestions in the paddock that because you're a customer of Ferrari, you actually walk in lockstep with Ferrari. Whatever they do, you do. If there's a vote, then whatever Ferrari votes, you do. The fact that you've now been robustly going against that in these meetings, etc., does this tend to prove that you are your own team?
No, absolutely. And my respect, or our respect between each other, Ferrari and us, is like, it's still there. For sure, we have got discussions about it, obviously, but I think we never were a slave of Ferrari. We always work together in a respectful way, and we without them wouldn't be here. And I will never deny that one. You know, I said it publicly more than one time. We without their help wouldn't be here, but we cannot be slaves, because we need to look in the moment. It's a crisis. We need to look after our own corner, because if we go with them, we go down, and we cannot go down. So they know that, and I think our relationship is strong enough that we can agree to disagree on some things in life, or how we conduct business. So I think that shows that we respect each other, but by no means are we servants or slaves. By no means, by saying that I disrespect them, I respect them a lot, because without them we wouldn't be here. So it's one of these things. I think that is a good relationship works like. Sometimes you need to agree to disagree and just move on, you know, and on these things we disagree, and it's outside. We don't decide, they don't decide, the 10 teams decide, and that I think it's a good step forward. That a lot of people tell me, you speak up against Ferrari, how can you do that? I'm not speaking up against Ferrari. I'm not having it with Ferrari as a company, or with Mattia as a human being. It's just like, I need to protect our team for the future, and that maybe includes that they need to make compromises. But if I don't voice my opinion, how should they know? You know, for sure, easy would be to say yes, and then next year we are not around anymore. But what good is that to Ferrari? None. So I think that is how, and you know how I conduct business. I'm very open. I voice my opinion. I'm not gonna fight with everybody about it, but if you don't say it, how should the other person know it? What you think?
So what you're really saying is that your relationship with Ferrari is a purely commercial one, not a politico-commercial one.
I mean, it is political when it suits both of us. Otherwise, it's a commercial one. I mean, it's like it's business. It's not opportunistic, but there is a way in between. It doesn't need to be always be one or the other. There can be something in between. It's like if we agree on it, we fight together. If we disagree on it, we don't fight each other, but we tell each other what we think about it and respect it. There's no disrespect in it. And whenever I go against Ferrari, there's no disrespect. My biggest interest is to protect Haas. And the second one is everything which comes after.
Talking about protecting Haas, let's talk about the employees. Obviously, Formula One is talking about 15, possibly 16, 17, 18 races in what is left of the season. What sort of toll will that place on the manpower? I mean, will it be tough to do all these races in 6-7 months?
I mean, for sure it will be tough, but on the other side, in the moment, I wouldn't say they're doing nothing. A lot of people are furloughed, which isn't good. I mean, you would have had work spread out in 12 months than the work in 6 months. So, but I think a lot of people in racing, first of all, it's a job. They need to make a living. There is not many good jobs like F1 around. Any other job is, if you have done F1, can get boring. So I think everybody will roll their sleeves up and just get it done. I mean, we have done worse things. I mean, if you would know what we did in the first year in 16 when we came to F1, how many nights and days we worked before going to the Barcelona test. Some guys are still around and they just see these times coming back, because we bettered in years, but everybody will be faced a little bit with this. But I think we are prepared because we were the last ones which worked with a very small group of people, very long hours on an impossible project. So, but I think there will be some people dropping out. It's always, if somebody decides not to want to do it, it's a free world. They don't have to do it. But I respect what they are gonna do and what they will be facing, because it will be the same for all of us for 6 months. It will be relentless if we get 15 races at least in, So, and I guess you will be one of them.
And can you see sort of rotation of staff during this period? Because we're talking 4 races in July, for example.
No, I don't want to go to the 4 races in July, but we will not rotate staff. I think that creates even more problems, because then you have to hand over, and then you make mistakes. To hand over, you need more people to cover. So sometimes it's better to deal what we have got and try to keep them motivated, try to manage them properly, or as best as you can, because they're always managed properly. Manage them as best as you can, that they can get their sleep in, they can get their food in, that they can see their family for even short periods, and then rotate stuff, because that will create some other problems. Hand over, that's not always easy, especially on machines like F1 cars.
Do you support fully what the FIA and Liberty have been doing to try and salvage a season?
Yes, I support that. I mean, obviously, there is a financial background to this as well, which I am not aware of how it exactly works, because it's not our job and we haven't got complete clarity about it. But I think FOM knows what our expectations are, what the team's expectations is. But otherwise, I think getting a season in would be good to keep some consistency. That because losing a complete year is, I think we would lose quite a few fans, because it seems like we don't want to go racing, while in the end we want to go racing. But it's a difficult job for FOM, because this virus is fluid. You don't know what is coming up next. Everything changes by the day. I mean, I think now we got more from the day to the week, but still it's in the hand of the politicians of each other country. And unfortunately, we are not racing just in one country like a lot of the major football leagues do. We are all over the world, and it's a challenge to get agreement from everybody.
Finally, what do you think is a sort of a reasonable target for number of races?
15, that's my opinion. 15, yeah. I think I would be happy to do 15, or I would be happy, and I hope we do 15. Not only happy, I would be, if we need to make an effort to do 15, I'm fully okay with it. Any more will be, I think it's starting to get difficult, but that's a personal opinion. Again, I don't work for the FM, I don't have the insight, but it's just like, I'm doing this a long time, so you get a feeling what could and what should happen. So I think anything more than 15 will be very difficult to to pull off now.
All before Christmas?
That's what I hope for, because it's always nice to finish a championship at the end of the year, and Formula One always finish championship before the end of the year. So again, even if things change over time, we should try to get it in today and have a complete new fresh start in 21.
Of course, we're all hoping that Formula One is able to get going again soon and we're able to run something close to a full 2020 championship. Thank you very much to Guenther Steiner and Haas for their time, and thank you very much for watching. For more interviews and features, make sure you're following at racefans.net on Facebook and Twitter, and take the chance now to hit subscribe so you don't miss our next YouTube video.